My dear sisters and brothers in the Lord, we gather today to remind ourselves of our being set apart, chosen for mission. We were not chosen, no doubt, to sit and polish our nails, not chosen to lie in bed all day, only getting up for lunch. We are men and women on a mission. The Redemptorist Father General recently says in one of his reflections on the day of consecrated life, he writes, if consecration does not move us, disturb us, and send us forth, it runs the risk of becoming sterile, reduced to a mere task to be accomplished. We are people who have been given a task. Matthew 28, chapter 28, gives us this missionary mandate. But in our quest to be faithful to this mission, religious life has faced many challenges. Over the years, it has fought to remain authentic, remain faithful to its mission in the face of so many difficulties, starting with historical persecutions. Today, growing secularization is the greatest challenge to our consecration. Over the years and prior to Vatican II, congregations tried to preserve their members from the world, from the growing secularization then, by adding many exercises for the sake of discipline, to make us painfully carry the burden that was light and the yoke that was easy. Flagellation became part of the discipline of religious life. Heavy habits that swept the floor were the order of the day, veils that covered the ears and even acted as blinkers were seen as necessary for religious discipline. With Vatican II, where the Council Fathers pleaded with every congregation to lighten the burden and to return to the spirit of our founders, things changed. The habits became shorter, veils less heavy, the rigorism of the past was lost, and the removal of the burden of the habit and the rigorous life gave way to a new form of religious life, which was seemingly more attentive to mission, for we were now traveling lighter. Changes did not end with the habit and the veil. Constitutions underwent a metamorphosis. Several amendments were made, and so too with canon law, resulting in the birth of the 1983 Code. All of these changes, it became evident that increasingly the spirit of the founders, to which we were called to return, had been overtaken once again by this inexorable thirst for innovation, thirst for change, and once again subtly driven by secularization. Is it not true that if founders were to rise from the dead today, they probably would fail to recognize their congregations and orders? What has happened? Where did we lose the plot, or have we lost the plot? We seem to be facing so many challenges in leadership and governance. We seem to have lost the prophetic dimension that has made men and women set apart for the work of the one who has called us. Instead of being innovative in our witness of the gospel, we have become innovative in the manner in which we break the law. Some of us have become very intoxicated with the spirit of the world. And yet religious life remains at the heart of the mystery of the church, not at its peripheral, at the heart. Those who belong inseparably to her life, writes John Paul II, must be constantly exhorted to remain faithful to the church's mission and teaching. Despite our challenges, our struggles, we have so many wonderful men and women religious who deeply love the Lord, who pray fervently, who labor generously and zealously. So often those who are faithful and constant and who are always present and available to do good work are taken for granted. We gather today to thank them in the name of the Holy Mother Church for being lights of the world and salt of the earth. All Christians are called to follow Christ. Religious are called to a radical discipleship. Through their consecration by profession of the evangelical councils, they reflect Jesus, who out of love for us emptied himself and became obedient unto death, death on the cross. Religious must truly bring Christ to others. Identification with Jesus brings with it death to self. You and I must be concerned, so much concerned, as to call each other as religious to that dying. As one of the disciples, Thomas, once said to his fellow disciples, "Come, let us go and die together with him." Tendencies to excessive self-fulfillment and autonomy in living, working and decision-making are not reflections of Jesus, who came to do the Father's will. They are not reflections of what it means to be religious. They are visible signs of a religious life that has lost its path. The ultimate criterion of authentic religious life is conformity to the person of Christ. Superiors, you have every right, and indeed it is a canonical obligation to call those under you to that conformity and to urge them to esteem the great dignity of their consecration. In the introduction, I said that we face challenges in leadership and governance. Some have described leadership in religious life as undergoing a crisis. Leaders in religious life are called to govern and not just manage. The purpose of governance in religious life, as in the whole church, is to safeguard the charism and to stimulate growth. My dear fellow religious, when we see our superiors governing, leading, showing the way, calling us to religious observance, what runs in our veins? Is it a spirit of rebellion, attempts to revolt? But this is the work of leaders in religious life. They are called to govern and not just manage. And this governance in religious life is, as I say, to safeguard the charism and to stimulate growth. And as men and women put in charge to govern, we must humbly accept the authority that comes with the office and use it. By doing so, we will be accepting responsibility for the life of the institute. Many have not only become blind leaders, but we have also become deaf. Not listening to what is going on in our communities, refusing to see the struggles that are visible to all. Pope Benedict once said that without someone to exercise authority in a community, there is a danger that situational and pragmatic values may replace objective values. Leaders must be in sync with the mind of the congregation, its mission, and how it seeks to carry it out. They must know the constitutions. Where we have lost connection with the constitutions, our guiding light, we turn to situational and pragmatic solutions. And in that sense, we lose the path that has been clearly marked out for us. The role of a superior must be to call religious to fidelity, to that particular radical following of Christ, which is the Institute's charism, an unwillingness to admit authority at the level of religious life leads to a self-direction and autonomy, which are incompatible with being identified with Jesus, who came to do the Father's will. Being religious, because religious are public persons in the church, their own obligation as men and women who follow the obedient Christ is to reflect accurately and clearly the teaching of the church. When people see us on the street corners, in classrooms, in schools, in hospitals, in universities, they must see a reflection an accurate reflection of the teaching of the church. Community life is at the heart of religious life. It is a distinguishing feature of this type of consecration which we celebrate today. Religious life is a vowed life, lived in community. Religious are therefore called to be an exemplary community within the community of the church. Many of our religious now no longer believe in community life. We have lost regular order observance. We have become individuals who happen to live together. And the breakdown of community life has its effects in all aspects of religious life. Community life is intended to be life-giving for the individual religious. The holiness of religious is inexorably bound to the full living of their community life. This is not to advocate a closed, static, merely formalistic common life, but rather a healthy and vibrant community life based on shared charism, shared vowed commitment, shared formative experiences of a spiritual, liturgical, and social nature. My dear religious, we are not merely professional persons who assist in the work of the church. We are at the heart of the mystery of the church. We belong inseparably to her holiness and to her life. Lumen Gentium 44. We are called to a radical living of the baptismal commitment common to all. It is important for us as religious to fully understand and to promote all the authentic values of Christian living. The call to consecration and mission, to deeper prayer, to the witness of community, all this needs to be supported and encouraged in its entirety. Religious, by their style of life, are called to be a sign of contradiction, a witness of counterculture, in a world which so often seeks self-gratification and fulfillment, which alienates the poor and the powerless, which is intolerant and hostile to minorities, which is noisy, strident, and frenetic. Religious, by their love for all people, expressed through consecrated chastity, by their dependence and simplicity of life, expressed through vowed poverty, by their availability and submission of will through obedience, by their willingness to live interdependently with others in community, and by their relationship with the triune God, offer a visible and feasible alternative to what is, and speak the promise of what is to be. We have gathered to encourage and exhort each other to strive to live what we profess, even as we bear the weakness of the flawed human condition. No one says religious are perfect. And yet, we must call each other always to stand each time we fall. We must encourage each other to be faithful and to be signs of the holiness of the church. We must be the living witness of the gospel as religious with our beautiful charisms. We are invited by the church to follow the synodal path, to journey together. Synodality, as the Holy Father has said, has always been the way of the church and the way of religious life. We participate in decision making, accountability, evaluation of structures through our community meetings and general chapters. Perhaps we ought to intensify the increase of the levels of participation of members in their decision-making processes. We are called as different congregations to join other congregation and the church itself, to be one family, to see this one mission as our own mission, and to add value to the work of the church. Today, as we celebrate consecrated life, indeed, we celebrate the mission that has been placed before us, to be the light of the world, the salt of the earth, and to be cities built on a hilltop. We can do it together, and therefore the synodal path is indeed the path of all religions.